Hello there, Simmers. Our third leg today. It's going to take us across France east towards Paris. Yes, I said south to Paris in the last video, but today it's east because I've looked at a map. We're going to go via a couple of Bing Maps 3D cities, Rennes and Rouen, and we'll take a good look at these cities and see how they compare to the AI generated cities and enjoy some of the scenery. And then we're going to head south to Paris and land at Orly, which is south of Paris. We'll be starting in San Malo in the Beechcraft Bonanza, and we'll be starting from cold, so I'll take you through the basic startup procedure I've formed on my checklist. It's not a full checklist, but it'll get us in the air and adds to the realism of the flight. Also gives us a little bit more insight into the workings of an aircraft. In addition, we're going to be using autopilot for the first time, which I'll walk you through if you've not used it before, and that will allow us to take in some of the sights a bit better. Now, because we're landing in Paris, our sumptuous scenery snaps are going to be set to a classical piece by one of Paris's own, one of my favourite pieces, and I just needed any tenuous link to be able to use it to set some scenery against on Microsoft Flight Simulator. So let's hop in and let's get going. Okay, here we are at San Malo. It's a lovely day. We've got about 6 knots of wind by the looks of things and scattered clouds at best. We're going to get inside the plane in a second and we're going to go through startup procedure. So let's get rid of this. I don't want that to worry about at the moment. We're going to go to our co-pilot. I'm going to give him some options. We're going to give him radio comm so he can handle ATC for us. That will automatically do the pushback and clearance and all that sort of stuff. One less thing for us to worry about now. Right, now let's go through our checklist. Let's get rid of this and let's give ourselves some power. You can see we're completely cold and dark at the moment, so I'm going to go battery on and alternator on. Okay, that's good. We've got some power. That's a good start. And we're going to go check with fuel tanks. Yeah, that's fine. On some planes you might find fuel tanks up here or down in the center console, but these are down in the bottom left for us here by our pilot. Now, next thing we're going to do is set our mixture. Let's set mixture to about 50%. And then we're going to go full on the prop, which is the blue one in the middle there, and then we're just going to give it a little bit of throttle so that when we start the engine up it doesn't stall on us or anything like that. That's good. And then we're going to go ahead and start the engine. Now when we do this, co-pilot's going to automatically call ground services and push us back. That's fine, we'll let that happen for now. So let's move that over to both magnetos and just zoom out so we can see. Start and excellent. Off we go. Good stuff. So whilst the engine is warming up, we're going to get ground services coming in and they're going to give us pushback. And whilst he's doing that, we're going, well, we want to be pushed back in the right direction, so we're going to push back to the right. He seems very confident with what he's doing. He's quite happy to reverse towards us without looking at the propeller, which he's moving towards. That's fine, I guess. If you're that good at your job, we'll leave him do it. Right, whilst that's happening, we're going to set some lights on. So, oh no, turn avionics first. Yeah, good idea. Get the avionics on so all of our, our GPS, our Garmin system is all working. Excellent, that's good. And that will set us up for an autopilot later on. We're going to turn on some lights, beacon lights, nav lights, and strobe. Probably would have put these on before pushback, but he was so quick we didn't have a chance. And we're also going to put our taxi lights on because we're taxiing. Okay. Now we're just going to press the magic B button, which will reset our altimeter. Oh yeah, you want to put the brake on after this, I think, because obviously we've got a bit of throttle on, and it automatically disengages brake to allow us to push back. So we've got to put the brake back on before we mow him down. Right, I can't see a taxi ribbon yet, so we're waiting for our co-pilot to request that. I guess that will happen as soon as this guy's out of the way. And there we go, there's our taxi ribbon, excellent. So we know where we're going now. So we're going to reset our altimeter That's the magic B button that resets it for us. Just do that. And then the last thing we're going to do is set our altitude. There's our altimeter, there we go. And then we're going to set our altitude. We'll set the altitude to about 3,000 feet. And this isn't going to do anything at the moment for us, but when we come to set our autopilot on, that will set the height that the autopilot is going to target and maintain. Okay, I think, oh yes, we're going to change this. It hits CDI down here in the middle. That's going to change it into GPS mode, so that means that when autopilot goes on, it's going to track our GPS signal over here and take us through our waypoints to our final destination, which is great because we can load all of that in Flight Simulator and the world map screen, so that's great for us because it's nice and easy. Alright, I think we're about ready to taxi, so let's go and we'll go over to the runway now. Okay, we're just holding short of runway 35, awaiting our clearance. Here we go, and then we are now going to join the runway. We've just checked to make sure there's no planes coming in. It's always a good idea. Check for yourself, make sure there's nothing coming in. And we're going to move on to runway and get ready for takeoff. It's the first time I've flown this plane, by the way, so there's a little bit of getting used to and involved. The GPS system and the avionics are all familiar, so we'll go through the autopilot stuff in a minute. I've just missed the centre line. That's not very tidy, but anyway, let's continue. Right, give it some throttle. Mixture to full. I'm going to climb to just over 1,000 feet or so before I start setting the autopilot. We're going to move ourselves towards the GPS line on the right hand side there. And let's get over 1,000 feet or so. I'll start plugging in the autopilot stuff. It's quite simple to do. It's just a few buttons. We set our altitude earlier to 3,000 feet. Autopilot will use that, and because we're on GPS mode, autopilot's going to follow the GPS coordinates we plugged in the world map screen. So it's going to take us to Paris, but via a couple of waypoints at Rennes and Rouen, and then we can enjoy some scenery. I'll be taking over here and there just to be able to do a few lower shots and get a bit closer to the scenery. But we'll let autopilot do donkey work. Okay, so these are the buttons you're interested in. We've got flight director, we'll turn that on. Autopilot, we're going to turn that on. Nav, because we're using GPS mode, we can just use nav mode, and then it'll line us up with that line on the other screen. Turn that one on. And then last of all, we're just going to turn flight control on, which is this one down here. And that's it. You can see the plane's already moving. That's not me doing that. That's autopilot taking us over towards the GPS line on the right hand screen. And it's continuing its climb towards 3,000 feet. Once we get to 3,000 feet, we'll throttle back a little bit and cruise. And then let autopilot do the rest. Now, I just wanted to bring your attention to this third-party add-on that I use for Flight Simulator called VFRMap, and I'll leave a link to it in the description below. It's a much more detailed version of what you get in the game with the VFR map, and gives you much more detailed maps as well as some useful information. It's best used, I think, on a second screen. So if you've got a second monitor or even a second device that you can plug in, then I highly recommend you use a second screen for this. But you could shrink it right down and put it in the corner of the screen if you wanted. We've got a number of map options here, which we can cycle through and look at these, including the water depth and a nighttime cartographic map. And then this much more complicated map, which looks at the compass points around all the airports on the particular in the area that we are at the moment on the map. So it's really useful if you understand all of that stuff. I don't really just yet, but it's what I intend to be studying and figuring out as we go along. So at some point this will be really useful, and hopefully will make my flying experience better and also save me being way off course when approaching airports. So yeah, highly recommend this. And we're down, just about. Not really a landing befitting of that piece of music, is it? It's not the most elegant landing. Definitely got plenty more work to do on that side of things. But anyway, we've done some checklist stuff today. We've done, a nice cold and dark start, so we feel like we're getting to know the plane a little bit more. We've done some autopilot, which is great, and now I'm just going to taxi off of the runway and start planning the next leg of the trip. We will try and head south this time. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button. If you really enjoy it and you want to find out what else is going on this trip, hit that subscribe button, and please leave any comments you've got about the format of the videos, whether you like the widescreen stuff, whether you like the cinematic shots and the musical sequences or not. Let me know. If you prefer me just to be a bit more technical and talking the plane stuff, then again let me know. I really want to get any feedback I can on this, and join us hopefully in the next few days for leg number 4. That'll be. We'll definitely try and head a bit further south rather than east this time. Okay, catch you next time.